I am on page 22, and we're looking at how to turn fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. Now, the calculator will help you on fractions to decimals. Decimals to fractions is a little bit different. So I'm trying to get my pencil to work. If you hear that clicking, there we go. Okay, so let's do an example here. I want us to change 5 over 1250 to a decimal. So this goes back to that last video, page 20, where we are dividing a fraction. So you want to set this up. I'm going to use red to set it up so you can see it. And I'm going to use a little bit more. This graph paper really helps. This is something that will help you keep things lined up. So let's draw the division house. And that thing has a name, but at the moment I cannot remember it. Put your 5, that's your dividend, in the house, and then the 1250 on the outside. I don't have a decimal outside that needs to move, so I'm going to go ahead and put the decimal down here because I have to add some zeros. 1250 will not go into 5, so we've placed that number there. I'm going to add a 0. Don't go crazy with the zeros. Bring it down. 1250 cannot go into 50. 0 times 1250 is 0, and subtract. And I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. 1250 cannot go into 500. 0 times 1250 is 0. I'm going to subtract again. And you guessed it, we have 500 remainder. I'm going to add one more 0, and we should be home free on this one. Bring it down below that line. And now we're saying 1250 into 5,000. And that will go. That's 4 times. And that's no remainder. So 1250 times 4 is 5,000. And this is called a terminating decimal because it doesn't have any remainder. It terminates. So this fraction is equal to this decimal. Now on a calculator, I would simply type it in. If you have the calculator, use it. That's what it's for. You get that answer, but that's where the answer comes from. There's the mathematical proof that that is true. Okay, let's look at some more. I want to change these fractions to decimals. So I'm going to use 6 thousandths. Now this is where that number line I gave you comes into play. Put your leader, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay, that's all you have to do. You can also type it in your calculator and it will give you the answer. Okay, how about this one? 125 hundred thousandths. You can type it in your calculator or you can write it by counting your places. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths. So thousandths, 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths. 16 over 10,000. So that's the liter. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. And then I think that's all. Notice that all of these have denominators that are multiples of 10. So if that is the case, you can simply count your places out there. Or if you want to do it on the calculator, like that last one would be 16 divided by 10,000 equals the decimal that we got. Okay, now let's go the other way. This time I want you to change the decimal to a fraction. And your calculator is not going to help you here. You're going to have to know that big number line that I gave you back on page 20, I believe. For example, this decimal, I want a fraction. So we know that it's going to have a 9 on top. Let's count our places. We have tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. So that will be your denominator. 9 10,000ths. Let me just write this one in words. This is actually the way I prefer to do it. So I'll show you on the next one what I would do. Okay, this one, it's a monster. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and a 15. So I know this is going to be 15, but I need to count the places. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000, 100,000th, millionth, 10 millionth. So it's 15 10 millionths. And as a fraction, which is what we want, it's 10 millionths. And that one will simplify. Now your calculator will help you here. So we want to reduce 15 10 millionths. I know a 5 is going to work. The 15 might, but I know the 5 will. So let's just go ahead and do that one. 5 into 15 is 3. And then 10 million, be careful with the zeros, divided by 5 is 2 million. Makes sense. And that one will not go any further. So that is the reduced fraction for that decimal.